Okay, welcome everybody. So beautiful to be looking at all of your faces as we were just enjoying that music in. Now, before I leap in to talking about empowerment, womanhood, the incredible magic of your woman's energy fields, then I want to remind you that you can put any chat in the little chat space below. You'll see the little signature that you can click on where you can say where you're from. I'll be asking you questions as we go through this. So really lovely for you to be able to engage in that way. I look forward to chatting with you because, wow, a very powerful group of women here together. And, you know, the empowered woman, this webinar, comes from a place that's really deep inside me. I think I'm 50 now. This is my 50th year. And I think for about 47 years, I've been really aware that the way that we're living energetically, physically, our health, our emotions, our capacity to connect with the sacred is pretty compromised in some ways. As women, we don't get to experience that great big fullness of ourselves. And before I start, I want to say straight up, I love men, I love women, I love people that don't identify as either. So please don't think that when I'm talking about the empowered women or us claiming our power means power over or dominance over anyone else. That's an old paradigm of the word power. And if I'm talking about it, if I'm talking about our vitality, our power, I mean that capacity to radiate that incredible energy that is been yours since, well, the moment you were conceived, definitely since you started being in this world. So it feels really important to say that right up front, because I'm sure I've looked through all of your beautiful photographs here, and unless we have someone on the call who's probably under 4, then you will have experienced those understandings, those times when you were diminished in some way. I remember being 16. I think that was the first time I became really aware of it. And I know in that respect, I'm lucky. Being 16, sitting in a doctor's office, having gone from being a bright, lively, very energetic young woman to feeling utterly exhausted, very sick, having all kinds of physical symptoms. And the doctor telling me that pretty much I was making it up. I just needed to get out. I needed to go for a good bike ride. And once we got up the mile of hill from the valley in which I lived, that actually everything would be fine. I'd get over myself. I remember understanding at that time that that doctor, in all of his kindness, was acting in a way that made my story diminished, yeah? He did not believe me. There was nothing about my experience that he was honoring, witnessing, validating, even being curious about. Now, skip forward 25 years later, after I had discovered a breast lump. Now I can see energy. I've been able to see energy since I was tiny, well, always, and I can understand it. I've worked in private practice for 20 years with hundreds of women, hundreds of men, and have taught to many thousands since I gave up my private practice. So when I observed that breast lump, I knew that it was cancer. And I made my own choices about how to bring the healing there. And I had to fight for my capacity to do that every step of the way within the medical system. And again, it was simply because that was part of the ideology of this mainstream way that we're living right now. So I know that you will have had those experiences where actually your capacity to be seen as a woman, heard, your stories, that you've experienced the time when they have been less than they should have been. They were received less, they were pushed off, or even experienced that bullying. So for me, being here with you tonight being deeply dedicated to this work of empowering women is inspiring. And I thank you for being here. So I'm just going to flick through and have a good look at you all. I can see your energy just as clearly as if you were sitting in front of me right now, having this cup of tea. And I want to see if you have experienced times when you have felt disempowered, diminished, that you were not being witnessed in your fullness in that instance. Give me a thumbs up. And I'm going to suspect, and I want you to have a look around too at all of the videos. Every one of us have experienced that. And for me, it's time. It's really time that we change that. There's been a huge growing movement in all parts of our culture to bring more equality for women and real equality, true equality. But the legacy of our patriarchal system that has been in existence for thousands of years, since it replaced much more equal societies, still plays out. So I want to let us share some information here. And I want to guide us as we go through our time together. All right. So whether you are that most amazing, amazing profession of being a mother, or whether you are in a boardroom or your own entrepreneur, however you're working, wherever you're showing up in the world, you will have experienced that legacy of inequality. It's gutting that we're still there. But part of the process of living within this situation right now is that there are so many unexamined assumptions, so many subtle threads that we literally are raised within. I was with wonderful family last week, and one of the little girls, 7-year-old, saw my husband wearing pink Crocs. And she said to him, "Boys don't wear Crocs." And it was such a closing down of potential. And the little boy that was with her, another 7-year-old, totally agreed. He said, "Especially not pink Crocs." So these are the stories that are coming from our tiny childhood. And for me, I see what they do energetically, how they begin to diminish us, how they begin to diminish everyone in our society as we get more and more limited about how we can show up in our magnificence. And it moves through every part right now with the inequality in our modern cultures as a result of the patriarchy of the last few thousand years, then the political situation, the physical situation, how many women get to really choose how they look after their bodies, how they approach their health care, their fertility care, the social situation, insidious in all ways, violence against women. The list can go on and on and on. Essentially, there are very, very few places in the world, very few cultures in the world where we as women are utterly empowered by our culture. You know, as I've been really preparing to be with you tonight, I've been doing some research, and one thing really, really struck me, that my grandma, I'm 50, so my grandma, she was born at a time when women still didn't have the right to vote. That means your grandma, your great-grandma experienced an incredibly different world. Now that's really close, isn't it? That's not way back through the history. That's really close time frame. So all of these carry the legacies within us. And in the middle of that, we get to experience ourselves as women, living in this little bit of a crazy world right now. There is beauty everywhere. There is trust everywhere. There's the capacity for joy and magnificence everywhere. And at the same time, there's conflict, there's dominance over, there's solutions that aren't solutions at all. So in the middle of all of that, we as women are getting incredibly squeezed. We as people are getting squeezed. And let's just have a look at this list here. And you can decide for yourself what's missing there. But that place of being frustrated when you see someone else climbing up the career ladder and you're being passed over, or you see the way that a young girl at school is expected to be quieter than the boys, or to be more attentive, or you're expected to put other people before yourself. You're being created as a little person, as a people pleaser, instead of looking after your own immense health, heart, soul. So I've got here this rather daunting list of frustration, exhaustion, burnout. I was really shocked recently. I was teaching and there was about 100 people on the call, and I asked how many people had experienced burnout. Every single person put their hand up there, predominantly women. So burnout being a massive result, this feeling of disempowerment, anxiety, of course, fear, and the way it shows up in that place of lacking in confidence. And I don't just mean confidence to step out into an area that's a little bit uncomfortable for you. I mean that amazing confidence in yourself, that capacity to say, yes, all right, I might be messing up in all kinds of ways, but I'm doing my best. I totally love where I am in my life, and I'm going to keep showing up here. That level, that sense of belonging, that level of natural birthright that you are simply emanating. Stress. The way we are living now brings huge stress into our own lives, into our families, into our beloveds. And that place that I talked about, sitting in those doctors' offices, of not being seen, not being heard, not being believed. We've just had menopause month, haven't we? And, you know, still seeing, despite the amazing focus and efforts of so many women during that menopause month, that it's still something that isn't housed in our culture as a norm. Now, since women have been born thousands, hundreds of thousands of years ago, they went through the menopause. How can we have a culture in which the menopause is something that is silent, something that women are expected to manage through instead of be supported through? So for me, I want you to leave this session. We've got an hour together. I want you to leave it feeling that you are able, you have the capacity, you have the desire to really reclaim that deep natural place of yours that includes vitality, power, and joy. And remember, when I use that word power, it doesn't mean power over. It doesn't mean imbalance of power. It means that capacity to be your full self. One of the things I realized very early in my teachings was that we can use the word power and use the word energy totally interchangeably. So I might say, oh, I feel full of energy today. And I could say the words, oh, I feel full of power today. Yeah. Or could say, oh, whenever I'm with that person, I really feel robbed of my energy. Whenever I'm with that person, I really feel robbed of my power. So that word just means the same thing for me. Power, energy, your vitality. So I hope for you that you experience that every day of your life. Do you? Do you? There's days I certainly do. I feel absolutely full. And there's days when interactions, exchanges, witnessing things in the world can bring that empowerment down until I can nurture it back up. And that might take 3 breaths, might take a simple practice. It might take a couple of days of nurturing the places in me that are hurt from what I'm witnessing or I've experienced. So my wish for you and my commitment to you is that as we go through this webinar, then we are going to be working on empowering you with that vitality, energy, and joy. Because when you feel empowered, when you feel energized, then that capacity for resilience is there. Amazing. It's one of the biggest determinants on how you can show up in your life. I know that you've experienced times when that resilience just isn't there for whatever reason. And maybe it's gone for a short time and maybe it's been gone for a long time. When we understand energy, we understand that healthcare is soul care. Soul care is healthcare. And despite the categorization and separation of concepts like your body, your mind, and your soul, we know far deeper than that. Women's wisdom is natural, it's instinctive, it's intuitive, as well as being rational and intellectual. So we can bring in those deeper wisdoms. And we know that when we are feeling empowered, wow, our body feels empowered, our capacity to be confident, resilient, engage in hope. Feel that whatever we do in our day, whatever we're choosing to do in our life, actually is worth something. I get so mad when I watch adverts or see media signs for some beauty product or some diet formula, and then they have the words, "You're worth it." You are worth a million times more than that, just by being you, with no beauty product, with no diet formula, exactly as you are. That's what empowerment means, that you can feel like you belong, whatever's going on, however you are, you feel yourself in that bigness. And of course, one of the really, really big things, because of the way that we exist within our culture, one of the big things I've seen women change pretty fundamentally in their lives as they become more and more empowered is their concept of healthy boundaries. So important that you have at the very, very top of your list yourself, because from that place, you get inspired, nurtured, empowered to bring your big self into all of the rest of your life, your family, your work, that incredible vibration that you're putting out into the world. Now, have I missed anything? I want to know on when you have experienced empowerment, even if it's in a small way, a way that lit you up. Let me know how else you felt, because it's really important as we are here together that we get that understanding. We witness each other. Women have an incredible capacity to be lifted up through connection. You know yourself, those times when maybe you felt a bit down, a bit low, a bit lacking in confidence, and you've gone and sat with a friend and you've ended up talking, laughing, sharing. So I'm going to look in the chat. What else? Pride, wonderful, that everything flows, spacious. Andrew, you're saying you felt like you were one with everything. Creative, really, really big one, Heather. Delighted to see that place. For me, that's a place if I feel like, hey, I want to turn some music on and dance, then I know at that point I'm moving in that creativity. Or if I feel like I must do my to-do list, things are really squishing for me. You feel happy, strong, a sense of purpose. Kristen, I love that you put that one. That naturally flows out of that deep place. Possibility and expression. Happiness. Claire, amen to all this. Exactly. Aligned. So these are words that we know. And yet for many of us, they feel like there's something over there. being creative, being expansive in our daily life feels often unobtainable. And for me, that's outrageous. All of these beautiful words that you are putting here, you're able to offer more of your love. So true. When we're in that place of empowerment, wow, we can change the world from that place, can't we? I felt like I had self-worth and really seen by friends, grounded. Oh, beautiful. I'm so glad. And thank you so much for putting these here. I know there's a lot of us on the call tonight, and I won't get a chance to read every word, but I will go back and read all of them. Atta, you're saying it beautiful. You felt on top of the world because the world is supporting you in that place. And as women, I utterly believe, based on everything I have ever worked with, experienced myself and taught, that women's authentic story isn't one of separation. It's not one of separation. That can be part of our mainstream story, dog eat dog, that we need to fight for our survival. I think it's thoroughly outdated and actually has no place when we observe nature. We see something else instead, and that is that capacity to come together, to be interconnective. There's an amazing study that was done over 30 years ago now, where actually the scientists looked at what happened in male bodies when adrenaline and cortisol was released due to stress. And they found that the chemicals that flooded them moved those men into fight or flight. Yeah, they were either going to fight the danger, fight the situation, or they were going to run for it. When they did the same test with women, they found very different responses. The hormones that flooded those bodies, yes, there were stress hormones, but as well, there was the oxytocin that comes from the heart, that actually made the women look to tend and befriend rather than fight or flee. Now, that tend and befriend means first, look to see what's needed in that situation. Look how to look after yourself. Look how to look after the people around you. Then do that through networking, by befriending, by coming together. So a most amazing way to be able to understand that it's very, very different in our body systems. Now, I want to talk to you about 3 different steps that I've seen work again and again for each of us claiming our real space and doing so in compassion, in wisdom, in our authentic truth, because when other people witness that authentic truth, there's nothing to react against. There's nothing to fight against. There's nothing to feel threatened by. Actually, at that point, because we are being ourselves in our fullest, it inspires and gives permission to everybody else to start meeting us in that same place. But it requires courage, doesn't it? Right now, it feels like life is requiring courage. That's one of the reasons that I've put this webinar and my other work with empowering women really in the forefront of my work right now, because in every way, we know we're at a great turning point, a transition in our society. We need to bring balance into our world, healing into our world. We need to be able to look after ourselves in a way that is sustainable. And that means that we're coming into times of big changes. So courage is a really, really key word. And the capacity to move into action, but with inspiration. So 3 steps that I want to talk about here. And the first one is activating your energy. Now, these images that you can see here, all show different components of your energy system. And everything you are is energy. All of your body is energy. All of your energy anatomy governs even how you respond to situations, old patterns, things that limit you or hold you back. Your thoughts are energy, your feelings are energy, your dreams, those big, big longings that you have to fulfill who you are or to show up in the world in a way that serves your soul purpose, serves your life purpose. That's all energy. So when we live in a culture that restricts us in some way or diminishes our stories, our capacity, doesn't witness us in our fullest, then we could be exactly as you see here in this picture. This is a picture of how women's energy comes in through that incredible spiral that comes up from beneath our feet, that earth energy that we're all plugged into. Men and women have different energy systems. So women's energy really pulls in that energy from under the earth, and it pulls it right in through electrons and through subtle systems. So your electromagnetic and subtle systems right into that area where you can see the vibration of radiant strength, magnificent empowerment coming out of this diagram. The root chakra and the second chakra. That spiral goes straight into the womb. And that's what makes it so different. Men don't have wombs. And whether you still have a womb or not, the energy of it is there. And it moves energy then up through this central meridian that comes all the way up the front of the body and up through the governing meridian that comes all the way up the back of the body and over, and they meet to form an incredible circle. Now, when that circle is connected and empowered, this is exactly what you look like. You are emanating your strength. You have an incredible aura of connection. You have an incredible aura of protection. Your boundaries are healthy. Your capacity to have a healthy body, resilient emotions, and that place of feeling like you belong, or feeling connected into your soul, into the sacred, is naturally moving through all of your system. We talked about those beautiful words of expression and creativity, feeling on top of the world. That's what this shows. That's what you look like when you feel like that. And this is the other way of experiencing our life. This is the place of when we can feel diminished or disempowered. Now, that's the opposite to the empowered woman, isn't it? That place of disempowerment. Now, when I see people whose systems, rather than this, look like this, it's because their energy fields have moved into the more closed, restricted, limited. It's functional, but this is more like survival. Remember, we have the capacity for thriving. So the very first, we're going to look at a practice in a minute that can really activate this part of your energy system so that you feel vibrant. So understanding your energy and being able to activate it so that you're always juiced up, so that you're always moving in balance, flow, harmony. That's the very first step. The second step is embracing your cycles of change, embracing the rhythm of your life, because our lives have very different rhythms to men's. Hormonally based, men have a 24-hour cycle We have a 28, 29, 30, whatever day cycle of our hormones. And that brings a massive change in our capacity to be in relationship with ourselves, other people. Women's energy is thick and juicy and throbbing and incredibly vibrant in their body system. So when we're working with resisting aging, when we're working with a mainstream culture that devalues women as they get older, then it can be tempting for us to resist the rhythms of our own life instead of being able to embrace them, really move through. Every time we go through a cycle of creation, women are incredibly life affirming. So we work with the creation cycle, just as the day does, just as the moon does. So as we move through those cycles, there's always part of letting go, isn't there? As you came into your first times of bleeding, when you went through puberty, did you have a celebration? Were you honored by the other women in your family? Were you nurtured in that incredible rites of passage that you are becoming a woman in your fullness? I suspect that's incredibly, incredibly rare for anyone still. What's much more likely is that you'd heard the words that this was a curse, that you just have to deal with it. Now you're going to have pain every month. That there was a sadness for you at that time. And then when we move into that next big cycle of motherhood, whether that's children, biological children, or your big nurturing and mothering of yourself, of something in your life, of your movement and emergence through your life, then again, was there a time that you felt alone within that big place of being able to move through the cycles of motherhood or that maturing of yourself before you come towards menopause? Perimenopause starts at 36. We're not informed in that way in our medical systems. There's kind of a big mystery right up until post-menopause. So understanding these beautiful cycles of your life and embracing them means that you're releasing those old patterns that are holding you back, and you're able to continually emerge more and more as you. And then the third step, knowing you are not alone. And I don't just mean that I love you, other people love you. I mean, that's very important though, but I mean that your energy keeps you connected in every way to the world around you. You're designed to bring energy in, to nourish yourself. You're designed to connect with other women. One of the real fallacies and myths of our culture now is that women don't like other women, that to support other women is dangerous. It threatens you. If we think of some of our stories of childhood, the place of the evil stepmother or the nasty sister, we think of social media now or some of our modern stories where the heroine of the story is betrayed by her best friend. There's these awful narratives of pitching women against women. And the truth is so very different. That's a place of understanding that you're not alone right now, that there are millions and millions of women in this world right now who are working towards helping create a better place, not just for ourselves, but for our daughters, for your daughters, for our grandchildren, for our sons. So understanding this huge network of energy women as we move through our life is one of the key places, because then you know you belong. You know that no matter what's going on in the world, you have a network of support, both energetically, maybe your animals support you, the trees, the entire world around us. We're very aware of the concept of this earth as our mother, mothering us, bringing forward, no matter how you were mothered in your growing life, bringing forward all that you need for your nourishment. That's what I mean when I say you are never alone. So I want us to do a practice. I want us to have a physical experience of how we can nurture our energy to really be in that place of connection. Now, I recognize, you recognize that we've had several thousand years and all of our lives of working within that patriarchal system, that place of not being empowered in our fullness. So you know that one practice is not going to solve all of that in one go. Be beautiful if it did. But what I want from this practice is it's my offering for you to be able to do it regularly. Every day is a beautiful way to start bringing your power, your energy back into alignment. And from there, the more often you do it as you move through these next days, then actually it begins to start activating this beautiful picture here that we're seeing. It begins to start resonating through the heart, through that amazing energy center deep in your belly, so that you feel stronger, you feel connected, protected, you feel more resilient because you are resourced. So let's do that. Put down, if you've been taking any notes, then just drop them down. Let's just take a moment here to really experience this practice. All right. So first of all, let's place one hand on the belly and one hand on the forehead. And from here, I want you to think about your body, and I want you to take 3 breaths. We're going to do 3 breaths in our own time, but together, where I want you to think about your body and ways you are grateful for it, no matter what shape, what size, what capacity it's working in right now, feeling grateful. Maybe it's for your feet that have carried you today, or your arms that have hugged somebody or stroked your own skin. Maybe it's for your heart. Feel that gratitude. Now leave that hand on your forehead and bring your other hand up to your heart. And here, I want you to think about someone offering you kindness today or in the last few days. A time when you felt connected, when you felt seen, heard, witnessed. And feel gratitude for that person or that situation. One more full breath here as you really feel, think, re-experience that gratitude. And now leaving the hand on your forehead, take the other one up behind your head. So it's on that bone at the base of your skull. And you can always pop your elbows on your knees or on the desk in front of you if you wish. But let's here take 3 breaths while you think about the gratitude for the earth, this great Mother Earth. Knowing that even the breath that's nourishing you as you breathe in, as you breathe out, is part of this earthly energy. All right, bringing both hands down to the heart. Just be with yourself for a moment, feeling this practice as it connects you to yourself, you to the world around you. Connects each of us as we do this practice together, no matter if we're doing it now or if you're watching the replay of this webinar at any time, still connecting us into that great field of energy, that supportive, empowered, energized field. Take one more full breath here. And just tune into how you feel right now. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Always great to check in after any practice. Has it made any difference? How do you feel? And if you feel inspired to, then let me know in the chat. I want to know how you feel with that. Soft and full centered. Vicky, I love that. That's such a beautiful, soft and full. Well, we could have a new definition of empowerment right there. Confident, grounded, peaceful, peace, brighter, more grounded, nourished. Pippa, you felt grief. So come back and do the practice again and honor the grief. Honor the grief. When we're working with patterns inside ourselves, then being able to recognize and witness what's there is so important. This hand that we're holding on the forehead is working with deep replenishment, working with points that help repattern stress, but while doing so, help us ground more. So for any of you who felt the hurt, the sadness, any pain, any grief, just come back to the practice again. More connected, warm space, calm and serene, tender. I love that. So often in our world, we have to show up in ways that are more protective. We're in that habitual energy field. So I'm really delighted. I feel tender too after doing that. Feel relaxed, feel joyful, so much better, contented, wonderful. Yeah. Karen, you're saying how it's nice to be together. It's nice that so many of us are doing that practice together. All right. That's really wonderful. Acknowledged. Yeah. That you feel physical movement, pressure moving off you. Palava saying that you feel a little tired. That's one of the things when we come back into ourselves, we have that capacity to really understand how we are so that you can be nurtured from that place forward. Beautiful. So remembering that a practice like this, beautiful, simple, you can do it for a couple of minutes, you can do it for 20 minutes, ways that deeply move that energy of healing, of radiance, of empowerment through your system. So important for that place of hope, of courage, of being able to show up in your big life, being able to show up in your magnificence, whatever that is. Your big life might be really loud and shouty, and it might be really quiet and joyful. Perfect, whatever is right for you. Because together, exactly like we were saying there, that place of feeling relaxed, when we're together, we are so powerful. We have that capacity to change our existence, our world, to transform that for ourselves and our lives. But in doing so together, we get to empower a difference and a change in the entire world. That's exciting to me. All right, I want to leave some time to get to questions. But before we go to questions, I want to really extend an invitation for us to continue this work together, because in 1 week, absolutely amazing to me that it's come around this quickly, in 1 week, next Friday and Saturday, I'm going to be working with a 2-day urban retreat, and it's going to be in person. In fact, we have just very, very few spaces left in person, but also live streams. So there's so many people that are joining us from all over the world already, but I wanted to be able to make it accessible in exactly those ways that we've been talking about: being together, learning together, bringing these practices in together are so powerful. And remembering that place of reclaiming your rightful place, that promise, that vision, that wish that I have for you, that's what's also created these 2 days together. And as I was looking at it, I thought, you know, I want to bring forward something that doesn't involve you sitting with notebooks, scribbling down a load of information, and then leaving at the end of 2 days feeling, oh, that was great, and then moving straight back into your normal lives without being able to deeply integrate, without being able to experience that transformation that's so possible and so essential for where you are. So that's why I put this together as a retreat. There will be many, many learnings. We're going to be exploring how to really understand that energy, building on more practices like the one that we just shared together, but also how to inspire in our systems those big understandings of how to release those patterns, those habits that are harming us, that are really working to keep us limited. Because although there are cultural patterns, there's also the ways that our experiences are shaping us. So working with those big cycles of change and knowing that those cycles create choice in every moment of every day. So day one, we're looking at women's energy and then how to activate that empowered energy for you. Then looking at those patterns that hurt you, that harm you and others, and that limit your life. And then at exactly by this time next week, we will be in the middle of our healing ceremony. Very excited about that, no matter whether you're in the room with me or whether you are live streaming into your home. The ceremony is for all of us to access the incredible healing of our heart energy and moving that into all generations of our experiencing, being able to really show up in that place. Ceremony is amazing for repatterning the depth of our system. So I'm very excited about that. And then on our second day together, really embracing those cycles and understanding how to support your body, your mind, and your soul. Bring in that integration so that as you move from those 2 days, you're able to really activate that power of choice. And I hope for you that the very first thing you do right from this moment here, let's not wait until next week, but from this moment right now, you choose you. That is the way that we are going to change not only our lives, but the lives of everybody by you choosing you. The myth of sacrificing yourself in order to serve others could do with a little updating. Serving others is beautiful, but not being in servitude. Being in service is one thing. Being in service to your soul purpose, being in service to the magnificence of the world and the emergence of a new way of being, beautiful. Being in servitude, being diminished, no way. And understanding that teaching is a big, big passion of mine. I love it. Definitely lights up my soul purpose, and that these are some of what other people have said about these classes. Opening up a new world, recommends it to every woman. I love that one. Creating space so that you can make better choices, not just in terms of nourishing your body, but your soul. Super happy for that one. And the empowerment, so that not only empowered in the personal lives, but as players and contributors in the life of our planet. Yippee! That empowers me as I commit to my work too. So let's talk about the investment of it. Live stream, I really wanted to make it accessible to as many people as possible. So for $105, we can start, and then 3 monthly payments of $105, or you can save by paying in full, which is $397. So the website, the URL, to get more information is kind of long. I'm going to read it out so you can hear it, but don't worry. When we, in the chat, it's in there. You can always take it from there. And also we'll send you an email with it, but it's pruneharris.thinkific.com/courses/cycles of change live stream. And I really hope that we can continue this beautiful exploration of empowerment in a deep and nourishing way. Part of my world work, and I know it's part of yours too. So let's explore. We have galloped through those 3 transformative steps. Understand your energy. Embrace those cycles of change in your life. Really engage in the moments of rebirth, that big life affirming energy that is woman's, and then the letting go, the embracing of the finishing of a cycle in order to have that rebirth again, and also knowing that you are not alone. You are deeply resourced, and that energy can make it that everything you do in your life is done in a way that is sustainable to you. All right. So now let's take a moment. Maybe some of you have already put some questions in. I'll have a little look. But this is a time where you get to ask any questions about what we've been exploring tonight, and really welcome then. All right. Let me bring up the questions. Okay. Ella. Okay, there's a question here. Do menopausal women still have 28-day cycles, even though we don't have a menstrual cycle any longer? Well, sometimes then there can be a big transitional phase of that. But what I see as we enter, there's a most amazing phrase that one of my dear students brought forward of the place after menopause, but before those real elder years. Some women have finished menopause by their early 50s. Very, very normal. Some more towards their later 50s, but in that place of not yet quite ready to own themselves as elders or crones. I've held many croning ceremonies where we amazingly honor women as they come into their big power of being post-menopause, and just being able to witness the huge transformation. But some people aren't ready. They don't feel like they're quite in that place of elderhood or cronehood. And there was a beautiful phrase that one student brought forward, that she felt herself to be the autumn queen. That place of autumn in its big richness and its harvest, and in its letting go of things that no longer serve. So yes, there may be 28-day cycles when you're in that autumn queenhood or in your elder years. There may not be. That's quite independent. You might be moving on a much longer cycle, more like 3 months. All right. So Anne, you're asking, are the holes enough, or is gratitude part of the power of the practice? You know what? One of the most transformational energies that we can release and engage in our body systems is gratitude. So I would say that the holds themselves, the positions of your hands, they are amazing for connecting your energy in ways that will begin to, like I said, bring into the center and radiate out. But I would bring in the gratitude. I'd bring in those 3 stages of gratitude, 3 breaths while you do the first hold for yourself, 3 breaths for someone else or something else, and then 3 breaths for the world, for that great Mother Earth that is nourishing you at all times. It will work to help bring flow and balance to your energy, begin releasing those patterns in really significant ways. Yeah. All right. Okay. Oh, Sarah, you've got a beautiful question. You've said you've never experienced a ceremony. I say it changes you. Does that change last? And how does it work? Love that question. And I see that a few of you are asking a similar question as well. So everything in our being, everything in our body system, everything in our energy system works on 3 vibrations: the vibration of the physical or the body, the emotional or cognitional or the mind, and then on the spiritual or sacred. Those are the 3 vibrations that we operate within, every single being operates within. So when we work with ceremony, and ceremony, sometimes people who've never engaged in ceremony before, it can feel a bit of a scary thing. Oh, I don't know what that means. What do I need to do? And actually, ceremony can be very, very simple. If you have lit a candle and said a little prayer for yourself or someone else or something else, you've engaged in ceremony. If you have ever been to a wedding, you've engaged in ceremony. I could go on, yeah, but you get the point already. So when we'll be working together next Thursday, it's very simple, but it's a way where we work together to actually connect to and honor that place within us that can be most simply transformed by ceremony. So we work on the level of honoring, prayer, communication with each other. I'm not going to go into the details here, but in doing so, we activate that ceremonial and sacred space in our energy systems so that the healing can occur. And what I would say is that when people engage in healing ceremonies, which you've already done many times in your life, but you might not have put that word on it, then because you activate the sacred in the system, that moves into every cell far quicker than anything else you can do. It moves through every part of your energy system far quicker. So it's the place of how do you nurture yourself? Are you nurturing just your body? Are you nurturing your spirit? Are you nurturing your emotional capacity? And ceremony does all of those things. Okay. Oh, Rasheen, you're asking, is there anything we could do to prepare for our 2 days together? I think you're already doing it. You're here right now. That's massive. That's wonderful. That's already taking those big embracings of empowerment, because empowerment's a thread, isn't it? You have been looking and working to empower yourself since the day you were born, because you're always in that process of emerging, but doing it together, doing it in ways that activate your natural energy. That's what I really want to be sharing with you, doing it in ways that we can heal those patterns that limit us. That's where we're going to be working next week. So you are already doing it, Rasheen. Maybe do the practice, that beautiful reconnection practice that I showed. That's going to give you a little head start and make sure that you're centered as well as excited. All right. Let's have a look at the other questions here. All right. Alison, you're saying that you've been told this year by a doctor that menopause never ends for women and will always be degenerative and symptomatic. You're asking me, is that so? I'm going to tell you, absolutely not. I have witnessed thousands of women going through menopause and stepping into their big vitality, feeling like that place of menopause and post-menopause is the gateway, it's the threshold to a whole new way of experiencing themselves and the world. So I hear what your doctor has told you, or a doctor has told you, and I feel it is deeply wrong and very much a part of this story that we've been talking about, this place of non-understanding, of not validating your experience as a woman and your potential to be in your great big magnificence as you go through this incredible change, utterly natural in every way. The menopause is life affirming. It sets you up for the next immense and empowered stage in your life. So no, I disagree with that, doctor, very, very much. All right. All right. I know that we are just about at time. You know, there's one question here. Elsie, you're saying, could you give us one exercise for breast health that we can easily learn and teach young girls and women? Well, you know what? Let's finish in our time together with that practice. There's many, many that we could choose. I really hope that we can be together next week so I can share many more practices with you. But when we think about breast health, when we think about those most precious and sacred parts of our body, yeah, our breasts are not the domain of men. Our breasts are our incredible, life-giving beauties for children. Our breasts, we are long overdue in reclaiming our breasts from the mainstream media or anything else. That place of working with surgery, a place of feeling like our breasts are not enough in however they show up, big, saggy, tiny, however they show up, perfect. Can we love ourselves that much? Can we love our bodies that much? Can we feel we deserve that love that much? Yes, we can. And that's exactly what we are all here for and all working together for. So, all right. I'm just finding in my brain what would be the best one to bring forward right now. Feeling into my heart. Okay. Okay. Well, you know what? We're going to do a practice that works with breast health and thyroid health, because thyroid health is deeply linked to breast health. All right. So take a moment and let's just for a second close our eyes and feel the celebration of being together. Maybe every one of us will be together next week too, but maybe for you, this is enough. That's fine too. Maybe you're ready to move into that next place. But take a moment to celebrate being here together right now with hundreds of women who are all moving towards more empowerment, more healing, more balance. Let's pop both hands over the heart. Take a breath here together. And you're going to come up and you're going to place both of your fingers over your cheeks. Now, my microphone's a little bit in my way, so I'm just going to do it with one hand, but you're going to have them both there and both very gentle. Place the rest of your hands down on your face and towards your chin. Just rest your hands there. And breathing here. Let's take 3 breaths together here. Now you're going to place one hand right at the top of your chest so that your hand covers a little bit of the bottom of the throat as well. And with your other hand, take all of your fingers and pop them into that thyroid area. So right where your voice box is, right in the middle of your throat. Let's take some breaths here too. We're working with the big stomach meridian, with the thyroid, with the extraordinary channels that move through your body system, radiating your core energy, your soul energy out through every cell. And all three of those systems are key for breast health, for women's health, for your vitality, for your resilience, and for your empowerment. Okay. Oh, that feels absolutely delicious to me. Thank you, Elsie, for asking that question and for helping me bring forward that practice. And again, it's a practice you can do for a few breaths or for 40 minutes. All of it will be nourishing your energy. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here this evening. I really look forward to spending time with you next week. And yeah, from my heart, straight to yours. Much love. Bye-bye.